What if the thing your audience needs most from you is for you to be a little less perfect? You're about to meet Brad Montgomery, a keynote speaker, comedian, magician, mentalist, and a brand new friend who had me laughing and learning throughout this entire conversation. Brad started his career performing magic and comedy, and today he brings those lessons into his work on encouragement, connection, and what it takes to truly hold an audience. We talk about why great presentations should feel more like a show, what to do when everything goes wrong, and something called a Savor line, which I'm absolutely stealing. But my favorite idea? Your audience is desperate for you to be imperfect. Because when we stop trying to be flawless, people can actually see themselves in us. And that's when the connection happens. All right, everybody, welcome back. I am very excited to be meeting a new friend today. Brad Montgomery is joining us on the podcast, and I think you're going to be so excited to learn what we are going to be learning about today and what Brad does and all the things. So I just can't wait to get into it. And so without further ado, Brad, could you please introduce yourself, the work that you do, and also your form of artistry?
My form of artistry? Well, first of all, I think we need to lower expectations, Kassy. Come on. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here. My name is Brad Montgomery. I started out right out of college as an entertainer and did that for about 10 years. I did magic and comedy, and I did a jillion colleges and comedy clubs and some cruise ships. And then I got the speaking bug. And so really for the bulk of my adulthood, I've been a professional keynote speaker for business and association and healthcare audiences. And for that, I talk about positivity, and specifically, I talk about encouragement as a tactic. And I still have the entertainment bug. So I've been doing a little bit of magic throughout as a speaker. Often I did zero magic, but occasionally I would do magic on stage.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm super stoked because I kind of have been scratching an itch. I've always wanted to run my own ticketed show in my hometown. And so I've been doing a type of magic called Mentalism.
Yes.
And that's been super fun because it's local and I get to be a total charge and no meeting planner tells me what to do. And so all the risks are mine and the rewards are mine. And it's really fun.
That is amazing. And if, for anyone listening right now, you know how much I love the magicians that have been on the show. And so when Brad came through, I was like, yes. And so Brad, you said a form of magic is mentalism. So tell us about the difference and what that specifically is in the genre of.
Well, it's really popular right now because Robin is all over the news right now, and he's a mentalist. But what it is it's what we're trying to do is create a show where the audience wonders, is this person reading my mind? Is this person, well, how do they know that my aunt lives in Boise? How do they know my dog's name? And then that is one part of it. But the other part is that can be super boring. So just like all types of presenting, trying to make something that we think is interesting, fascinating, or interesting, entertaining is a whole nother step.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool though. So tell me about the work that you're doing. I'm going to get into the mentalism, showmanship part of things, but also it's very important what you said about positivity and encouragement, right? Is what you mentioned. That's what your business is about and what you speak to corporate audiences about.
That feels like my grown-up job.
Yeah.
So
okay.
My clients hire me because I'm going to do a big general session for a conference or just be one of the speakers at a corporate conference or something. And of course, when they hire someone like us, they want to, what are we going to get out of it? What will our people learn? What's the value of this? And so I teach how to use encouragement as a tactic in order to build bottom line growth, which means we're kind of teaching people skills and reminding people in the corporate world, if we can be humans, interacting with other humans, we remember our customers are humans and our workmates are humans and our internal teams are humans, everything gets better, and it does. And there's a ton of science behind it.
Oh, yeah.
And it turns out it's a fun message to hear, but it's really fun to deliver.
I can only imagine. I'm sure that there's been a lot around that too with the influx of AI in our lives. And AI, at least the large language model seems to be overly encouraging, and people will then complain about how it's, what do they call it, a sycophant?
Yeah, Kassy, that's a great idea.
the best idea I've ever heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's really not what we're talking about. Cause I think all of us see that as like, we don't believe this is a real thing.
Yeah, of course not. I know. But how has AI impacted the work that you're doing or other technologies and
Well,
from
yeah.
that?
Well, that's a $1 billion question, is it, for all of us?
I guess so,
I
yeah.
don't think it has impacted the onstage stuff at all yet. And I don't know if it's going to. My sense of the world, and maybe I'm just being optimistic here, but I think as things get more and more AI driven and technology driven, even more than they have been, I think people are going to crave human to human contact.
Yeah,
And
even
that
more.
feeling of I'm talking to a person who cares and remembers my kid's name, not because I typed it in, but because they remember my kid's name and they care about my kid.
Yeah, I know, more and more. It's incredible how much and how fast things are changing and then how much we're going back to that. And like, what's crazy too is that how much we got away from it during the pandemic times. Not that any of us wanted to, but how it was sort of forced upon us. It was like a precursor to what
Yeah, totally.
was going to
But
happen.
also,
Like,
I mean, in the pandemic, even the most introverted of us had those experiences where maybe we were mostly a hermit, but then you have that one call with somebody and you just talk a little bit longer than you expected and you feel better afterwards. And we had,
yeah,
we still had those reminders of, okay, being a shut-in is hard. And this type of contact, even through the phone, is really helpful.
it's so helpful. It's like everything. So let's take it back. You said you were doing magic right out of college. It's like, so what? How does a person who's doing magic? Because I imagine you've been doing magic, unless I'm wrong, and then you
Yeah.
get into speaking. So
Right.
magic first, and then speaking.
It was a hobby for years, and I did it through college in the summers, for example, at a Renaissance fair.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I worked on a street as a busker. I did a lot of stupid, crazy things. But when I graduated from college, I thought I'd spend 1 year as a magician and then go to law school.
Oh,
And that was not easy for my mom to hear. But it turned out I liked it. And I was silly because I was young and stupid, just out of college. And I thought, oh, I'll master this thing in a year. How hard can it be? I went to school. I know how to do this. Well, after a year, I learned, wow, way harder than I thought. But also, I was a little bit less desperate than I thought. During that first year, my measurement of success was minor. It's like, let's get through this year and not borrow money. That was it.
mm-hmm.
And it turned out I got a lucky, and I was not killing it, but I was not desperate either. And started to realize I can see around the corner. If I could figure this out and that out, that would make my program better, which would make the income better, which would make me better. Because when you need money, you need money.
That's right. When you say my program, were you already doing, like, what were you doing? What was the program?
Well, yeah, program is a silly word. At that point, it was a show. So I'm doing a funny magic show.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So you're working.
Right. So thanks for calling me out on that. I deserve that. But yeah, it was a show. And then you're trying to figure out how do I do this? How do I learn it? How do I sell it?
Yeah, no, it makes sense that it's called a program, actually. I thought that was a cool term that I understood right away, which is why I latched onto it there. So
I feel like the difference between a show and a program is you can charge more for a program.
Yeah. Really? That's interesting. It depends on the type of program, Brad, the type of show.
Yeah, there you go. True.
That's very interesting. So you were working then as a magician that whole year. And what happened after that year? Law school didn't happen, did it?
Law school didn't happen. Really, what happened is I got a lucky break. There was a magic contest. Who knew there was a thing like that? But I won it, and the winner got a week's booking at the Hollywood Magic Castle. And that is a really famous nightclub for magicians. We all want to go there and be there and work there. And it's kind of like a mothership. And especially at the time, it was unique on the planet. Now there's a few more competing nightclubs in different parts of the country, but then it was so unique. And I got booked there, and I was, so I was overmatched. I wasn't quite ready. And it was not an easy week, but they booked me back again and again.
Wow.
And that was really the start of realizing, there's people who know more about me, because there was no internet. You couldn't look at what does a good magician look like on YouTube. You couldn't do that. You just had to hope to find a magician in your town. Wow. Again, without an internet, it's just not that easy to find. Even touring magicians would come through. I wouldn't know about it maybe.
Yeah.
So suddenly I'm accessing other magicians, like tons of magicians with different tastes and types and levels of skill and experience levels. And, and my head sort of went, oh, this is a thing. This could be
Wow. Yeah.
cool.
What kind of magic were you doing at that time?
Same stuff I'm doing now. Mostly it's a sleight of hand magic. So as opposed to a big box where you might have a big stage and you roll out a box and usually there's a woman you put in the box and something terrible or wonderful happens to her and then she's still okay. It wasn't that. It was closer. So I think most of it was suitable for a comedy club stage. So stuff I would hold. And then we'd sort of set up impossible situations with audience volunteers. That was where a lot of the comedy came from.
Yeah. I love it so much. I love being in the audience of those kind of shows. Do you do some of these things inform your speeches today and the way that you deliver?
Yeah, totally. And I wasn't always true, Kassy, because I kind of drink the Kool-Aid like, oh, I'm a speaker. Speakers are so important. And then eventually I kind of, thank goodness we learn as we age.
Thank
And we're
goodness.
able to change our minds a little bit. But I really came back to the thought where if I'm doing a keynote program and my client is expecting me to go out there and kill 100% of the time, I can't just hope it kind of works out. It's got to be a show. I need to know what the middle is. I know where the beats are. What are the transitions? I know how I'm going to end, and it better be good. So now I totally think of what we do as a show, even if it's a small. We were talking before the cameras were on. We were talking about trainers and other types of presenters. I'm not sure everyone who does it would agree with me, but I think for the audience would prefer a show rather than a 3-hour training. They probably would prefer a 3-hour show. And I don't think that's a terrible thing for us to think about. Like, how could I make it more like a show while still delivering tremendous amounts of content?
Right. I agree with you. I've always had the same idea, the same approach. And, as long as it's about how they feel and what they're going to be able to do, if they're going to be able to do what we set out to do, then we're going to be good. And yeah, they're going to want to show. I learned right away early in my training career, the first couple of years. I didn't love this, but it was just the case at the training job that I had that every month, I think it was like, who was the best trainer, the monthly winner of the training. And it was based on just our surveys after we'd been delivering. I was a Microsoft trainer way back then. And the guy who won, Ryan won every single month. Ryan, also a comedian. Because he would give him a show every time. And I'm like, Ryan didn't even know what he's talking about, but he would win it every month. It's like, there's something to be learned there from that. And he did end up knowing what he was talking about, but his performance.
I love that point because that story's perfect. And I think it's easy to take it two different ways, which is, well, that's stupid. Our audience doesn't understand the value of my content. Or maybe I had to be like Ryan and figure out what that guy's doing.
That's exactly what I chose. I'm like, you know what? Ryan's rocking it. So, and he's making people happy. And he's carrying them through the whole day with a whole bunch of joy, actually. And it was working for him. And that matters more than did I tell him exactly where to click in the exact right spot at the exact perfect time.
Yeah, I think it gauges, do they want to take another course with you immediately afterwards?
Right.
And my guess is they're more likely to say that with you or Ryan than with, someone who's like, I'm giving killer content. I'm boring as crap, but I delivered 29 points today.
It's interesting over the years, I train trainers in my business to be trainers. It's fun. Train the trainer. And I will often ask them, what do you think? Like, let's ask the audience, like, what matters more, a great trainer or great content? And in all the years that I've been running this, it's anecdotally, I haven't really been collecting it. It's an unofficial collection. People will actually say that the content matters more. And I always find it surprising. But the thing is, I think it's the day and age we live in where people can, take the content and go. And, it's always kind of interesting to me. So the thing is, when like the point of all of that is like to just be great at both, because if we're making them choose, they're going to go for like, just give me the content so I can get out of here and learn it myself. But if you can bring both and be really good at the delivery of that, then they are going to stay and they're going to have a better experience as a result of it.
Right. And I think if you want that next job, right, the client to say, that was unbelievable, Kassy. How do we get you back?
That's right. Yeah, we want her. We want him.
Right. Because I think a trainer just becomes a commodity, really. But if you're Kassy or whatever, you're someone special, then suddenly your fees go up and your calendar fills up.
That's right. That's how it's supposed to be. What do you think it is? Why are people resistant people, maybe companies, maybe management, leadership, resistant to the idea of something being a show? Or are they not resistant to it?
Well, no, some of them are, honestly, I think, but not the smart ones. So I think in many ways it's education. Like if we can educate our buyers, like, okay, here's another thing that I bring. I'm not boring. How? I'm really funny. I will get people involved. I will be surprising. They will not know what's happening and that time will fly. The reason that's important is because we don't want the phones up. We don't want their laptops open. You know, I think it's very easy to tune out a very boring presenter, even when people are very driven to learn that topic. Like, you know, they want to be in those seats. But it's easy to lose some of that because your mind wandered a little bit, or you were napping, or your phone was open.
Right.
And so I think when we tell our buyers, okay, this matters. People they know, we all know what Netflix looks like. We understand what good television is. If we're up there crappy, that is not fitting what they're wanting.
Right. And they're not going to stay. They're not going to lean in. Yeah. You mentioned that, you know, I got to know how it opens. I know the bits. I know what the ending is going to be. Do you have, is it usually the same type of thing that you deliver each time? Or do you have like a whole bunch of different ones, speeches or talks that you deliver?
Yeah.
Or do you create a new one per client? What's your strategy?
I have if you ask my audiences, they'll say, oh my gosh, he created it just for us. And I feel that to be a very kind bit of feedback. But the answer is no, it's tailored, not customized. And I'll tell you what that means to me.
Yeah.
Like, look at the late night talk shows, not Colbert, he's gone. Look at the late night talk shows. You have the best writers on the planet doing their best to come up with a 5 or 6 minute monologue. And sometimes very little of it is worth repeating. What's the lesson? The lesson is it's really hard to create stuff that you know is good, even when you have the best people in the world doing it.
Yeah.
So I think the solution to that is for most of us who don't have a writing staff to go out there and hammer away and hone and polish at the edges until we know, okay, this is starting to work. And then it seems crazy to me that once we get it going on other people's audiences, that any given client wouldn't want the benefit of us laboring over other people's audiences.
Right.
So that means I'm going to bring in that bit of material because they want me to, because I promised them I'm really good. And I know it's good because I've done it a bunch.
I've shopped
But then I need to drop in some things to tailor it to be around their audience. So the audience thinks, okay, this guy knows who we are. No one wants to hear Brad tell or anybody tell a story that he's told 1,000 times. So we better be good enough that they don't know we've told it before.
I mean, it's a problem, isn't it? But it's also like the reason you're good at it is because you've told it before and you know how to land it. You know exactly where to pause, you know?
Right. And there was that like time, I did it, 19 times before I thought of that one joke. And that joke is key. All right. Well, so that means if you would have stopped at 18, you wouldn't have got that cool joke.
Right. Right. And just exactly how to tailor. I mean, like, I agree. This is exactly what I do. Like I have sort of I guess you could call it like a template in some ways of, I usually do this kind of thing here. And then there's like this bit that really works here. And then this part usually works quite well here. It's like pieces of the parts. But then the way that they're framed is dependent upon the audience. And
that's beautiful.
Using their language and making it make sense for who they are and their experiences, right?
That sounds like a home run. Plus, I think that modular bit, because the word I tend to use is modular. I've got little bits and I can, as I'm getting ready for the date, kind of decide which modules are going to go in. But the other thing too is things just change all the time. It's so common for the length of time to change. It almost never gets more time, but it's very common for them to shorten it.
Even before you take the stage, you're like, oh, sorry, we just cut 10 minutes off of your gig. You got to go. Okay, it was a great show.
All the time.
And you're like,
because the president talked too long or the stupid sponsor talked too long and they don't have a plan for that.
Right.
So then they're like, okay, great. We just left for whatever reason, they screwed it up. But that means they're walking up and they're like, yeah, you can stay 5 minutes late on stage, but because we're 15 minutes late starting, you're 10 minutes shorter.
Right.
So that means if we're not modular a little bit, we're like, okay, I don't want to talk faster. I'm going to have to take stuff out.
Yeah. And cut that bit.
Pull out that middle section or whatever.
Yeah. Pull out that piece. Yeah. I know it has to be modular. That's the only way to survive timing changes like such things. Yeah. Yeah. And it happens all the time. I know a lot of people in learning how to speak in front of an audience or in getting better at it, that is a major stressor for people. They like the plan. They like knowing exactly what I'm supposed to do at every moment. And a big question is always, how do I deal with that? Maybe you could tell us a little more about, and you mentioned the modular approach.
Sure.
Is there anything else that you do to
Yeah,
help
it's super
manage?
easy. It's easier than people think, meaning you're going to plan for this. You're not going to go up there without a plan. You're going to plan now for what happens when you don't have a plan, meaning you're going to plan now what happens if the meeting planner removes 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and what will I do? So you get to think about that ahead of time. You don't have to wait to panic.
I love that. There's that encouragement. You get to think about it now. Hey, anybody listening now, anything you're going to speak to in the future, make sure you're making the plan for what are you going to do when they cut 10, 15 minutes off your time.
Yeah. Like, and also what else might go wrong? Forgive me. Dang it.
Okay.
I think I got it done. I was at the back of a room at an NSA, a National Speakers Association event, and there was a speaker up there and the microphone was buggy or something like that. And the speaker did not freak out and did a very fine job. And the speech went on and it was not a thing.
Nothing.
And in the hallways, people were talking about, they were so professional. When that microphone went out, it was so amazing. And I just was stunned. Like, where have you been? The microphone doesn't go out. It always goes out. It's just so common that it should not be a thing. And so this guy got credit for not freaking out, but I kind of thought there should be no one in this room who's freaking out with something like that, because we could plan on it.
But it's so common. People really freak out. They're really worried about it. They're real worried about it. I don't know where that comes. I know. I'm just thankful for all the years of improv and acting to begin with, but then I just went into virtual presenting so early, and if people think it doesn't work now, try running an online meeting in 1999 or 2000. It was like, there was no way I was coming on a camera unless I wanted the meeting to break.
I can't imagine.
You just got so used to, well, that didn't work, and I have common lines. Some of my common lines would be like, well, you know what? I'm not going to throw the computers out the window right now, but I do want to. And so what we'll do is, like, why don't we just live in that moment? Do you guys want to do the same thing? We're not gonna, but you want to, right? And like, just laugh through it,
What a great way to handle it. Well, would it be helpful? Would it be helpful to your listeners, do you think, to say, like, here's a way to think about it if something goes wrong?
Yeah. Let's give them that, because it's a common worry.
So comedians have a thing called savor lines. And a savor line is a typical savor. Like, I'm going to save that. This joke has bombed. It's tanking. I need to save the joke.
Okay.
So the way you save the joke is, so here's an example of a very hacky from a line from a comedy club. I tell a joke and it's not funny and people do not laugh. And I look out and I say, I guess some of these jokes are just for me. And so, and it'll usually get a little titter from the audience. But more importantly, it makes the point which I'm about to make. When something goes wrong on stage, what our audience is worried about is they don't want us to freak out. They don't want us to start getting nervous and talking fast and looking for a glass of water because now we have no liquid in our mouth, and they don't want us to die. So the most important thing we can do when the mic goes wrong, or our jokes aren't funny, or the computer breaks, or a fire alarm goes off, which happened a couple days ago, they just want us to tell them we're fine.
I see. Yeah,
that's what you did when you had a computer problem. You said, I'm not going to throw out the window, but I'd like to. You're sort of acknowledging it, and then we get to pick up on your vibe. Kassy is not going to freak out. She's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's okay. That's right. I remember a tip early on in my career that never make the audience feel like they need to take care of you.
Yeah.
And that plays out not only in a comedy bomb, but also in like a deeply emotional, personal story. Like, don't lose yourself to the tears. You got to be, the reason you're up there and you're able to talk about it is because you're on the other side of it. And we got to believe that you're going to get there. Don't make your audience believe that they have to take care of you, because then they're just stressed out. Right.
Right. And back to when things go wrong, I know we've all seen presenters of all types forget the words or just get panicked and get nervous. What do we all want to do? We just want to either hide our head because it's so awkward, or we want to go up and give them a hug.
Yeah.
So, the way to not have that happen is to make sure you're telegraphing with your words and your body language. Hey, I'm just acknowledging that I notice what's going on. I'm here too. Just like you acknowledged, I know my computer is not working.
Yes.
And then
I
really
love that
what you say
savor
afterwards is
line.
not that important as much as, yeah, I'm fine.
The experience and how you're making people feel is what matters the most. And their confidence in you as the person leading the moment. I love that. It's called a savor line, right? I love it. I'm going to keep that. I have
Right,
another
'cause
savor
if you're a
line,
comic
actually.
and you tell a joke and it's not funny, you have a problem. So you have to acknowledge to the audience, yeah, no one laughed. I noticed that no one laughed. And if you're lucky, you can acknowledge it in a way that might make other people laugh. But if nothing else, you can just let them know, yeah, I'm fine. I got more jokes. Don't worry about me.
Don't worry about me. Yeah. What's harder than being a comedian, too? I think that's the hardest job in the world. Maybe not. Maybe you don't think so, but yeah, it is, right?
It is. I think it's brutal.
Brutal. Being a theater kid growing up, it was the hardest gigs were the comedic ones, for sure.
Totally.
Like they would train us on the emotional, sad, deep ones first, and comedy came later, if at all, for people. Yeah.
Right. And that's a hard, lonely existence when you're in a dark room by yourself or with your team saying, okay, this is going up. How do we make it funny? And then you all look at each other like,
one of my lines for just virtual presenting, virtual training. This is another one. I love this. And I guess I'm going to call it a savor line now that you've given me that, Brad. Thank you. Is, you begin, it's not working. And you're like, is it even a real virtual meeting unless things go wrong?
beautiful. Beautiful.
Check.
Right. Because
Got
again,
that out of
what
the
do we
way.
just hear?
Get
We
to
just
it.
learned Kassy is not upset.
I'm not mad.
Right. And think about that when you're on an airplane and there's little bumps. All of us crave the same thing. We want the pilot to come on in a very calm voice and say, "This is totally normal. Not a problem. We're not at all worried."
I can't believe you just said an airplane thing, because I just thought of another line that I have for when I'm on an airplane. Right when I was saying that. When like I often will choose an aisle seat. And so, get on. And then of course there's like the two seats next to me or the one next to me, and I've got to get up. And the person that comes in always feels like, I'm so sorry. That's what they say. I got that seat. And you know what I always say? This is my line. I've been expecting you.
What a sweet thing to say.
Yeah. And I move and I'm like, I knew you were coming, It's great.
What a sweet thing to say.
It's nice, right? I don't know that that's exactly a savor line because I didn't fail, but it's just another unexpected line that turns the situation the opposite direction, right?
Well, I told you my expertise is encouragement. I think that's a beautiful, non-traditional way to encourage somebody. Like,
yeah,
yes, I see you. We're going to be in this together. I'm totally fine. I don't mind getting up.
Yeah.
I know you're sitting there. It's going to be great.
Yeah. This is how things work. There's no apology needed. And
yeah, I got you.
Light on their faces every time. I tell you what, like everyone's stressed out getting on the airplane, right? I'm not, but I have been. But I try really hard not to be. And the delight, and often just like an outburst of laughter, even it just changes the whole thing. It's great.
Well, you're like the bright spot for that. They were yelled at when they went through TSA for having water in their bag or whatever, and
right,
had trouble finding the gate and went the wrong way, and then they got in the wrong line because they boarded too early, and then by the time they sit next to you, of course they're frazzled.
Of course, yeah, it's not easy. My gosh, well, Brad, thank you for sharing the idea of like the modular approach. I think that's such a big thing to think about, even going into it, and also the savor line. These are two very specific approaches for people who might be concerned about getting through it, being on time, doing the right thing. It's so solid. And I just want to thank you for that. Is there anything else that you'd add on to either one of those points or anything else?
So those are kind of unique, distinct tips. You want one more?
Yeah, I want more and more. I'm obsessed.
All right. So I don't do it anymore, but I used to do a lot of teaching how to be funny on stage. And I'll tell you the problem with that. The problem is that some people are not ever going to be funny. Beautiful, lovely
people
people.
Just aren't funny. You can't be
funny. They
have
other strengths, but being funny might not be one of them. And you can sort of see them. They'd come to my classes and they'd have notes and they'd write down every single thing down. And the problem with humor, I think, is it's two things. It's both a skill, which you can break down, and you can learn how to do it. But also it's an art, and you can't learn the art by taking notes. You're going to have to experience and feel and You have to listen to a lot of comics and you have to screw up yourself. But having said that, there are some things that are pretty easy that all of us can do to add humor to our presentation, whether you're a trainer or you're teaching driver's ed or you're a keynote speaker or whatever. So let me give you a couple of them. The first thing that I think the audience is craving is to know you. So they don't want to spend that much time with a total stranger.
Oh, okay.
And so the question becomes, how can we talk about ourselves without being annoying? Like, well, I went to an Ivy League college and I'm an expert at this and I travel the country doing amazing. They don't want that, but they want to know a little bit about us. And the easiest way to do this is to, somewhere near the beginning of your program, say something like, I've been doing this a long time. And then put up a slide of you in your dorkiest past. So maybe wearing a terrible gym uniform in middle school, or a terrible wedding photo, or whatever, where it's very dated. And you can put this up and say, yeah, that, believe it or not, at one time that was not as weird as it seems now. What happens is the audience will give you a little laugh, or maybe if you're lucky and you deliver it well, a big laugh.
Yeah.
But even if they don't laugh at all.
I'm immediately thinking of, I'm like, okay, how can I edit what I'm doing? I'm super coachable, Brad. I'm like, okay, wait, I was born with bangs. I'm telling you what, every picture of me as a kid, I've got bangs.
Beautiful.
And people always use the bang joke as like, don't cut bangs. I'm like, cut bangs. So I'm going to work with my bang.
Putting a picture up there with you with bangs, I think is hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you could do something with AI or have someone Photoshop it and put a picture that's more current of you, but have someone change your hairstyle to have old school bangs.
It's not even that old. I have them all. So
great. Yeah. So
I have that could be bangs available. Yeah.
You could have a little flurry, like, yeah, as dorky as this, it took me a while to learn, watch. And then you just keep clicking. It took me years to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as, don't linger on them, but go through them. And then I think they'd be going,
okay.
We love this woman, Kassy, because you showed us something where you're not your best. We all know you're the rock star because you're the person with the microphone. We already know you're the
right. They don't want the perfect. They want the imperfect. It's like, oh, if she's imperfect, so I can be okay too. Yeah.
Yeah. They're desperate for you to be imperfect.
Yes.
They don't. Yeah. In fact, they don't. Let's say that again. They don't want you to be perfect. If we're a little bit more like them, because all of us, of course, are imperfect.
Yes.
They like us more. But the other technique, which is similar to this, is to just recognize what we're talking about. I said, I'm going to tell you a way to add humor. And I told you to add a slide of you as in the past. That is not the same as a joke, a Seinfeld joke. But I'm telling you, it is humor, because I think humor is not always defined, especially presenters who are delivering content. It's not always defined by how big do they laugh. Really, I think it's defined by, did we give the audience a little breath, a little break from our content? A little moment of like, just let things sit for a little bit? Did we give them a break? And did we bring them closer to us? Because connection is what we're all after.
I love that.
Anything where you can do that, where you just give them a moment instead of just yammering. Okay, now point number 32 is blah, 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 blah. Point number 30. They don't want that. Say like, before I get to point 33, I've been doing this a long time. Click. You don't need to say anything. Let them breathe. Let the space exist. Which will be hard for some people, and then finish it up and come back and say, but I promise you point number 33, let's go. You don't even need a comedian style punchline, because you've given them something that's amusing, if not funny, and you're giving them a moment to relax. So next time you're wondering, should I add this or add that? Would that be funny? Yes, you should add it.
You should add it. Yeah, I love that so much.
All of us will forgive our weird Uncle Earl who had a bunch of dumb jokes, because we kind of like them.
Yeah.
And so if you're a presenter and you're wondering, is this joke dumb? Well, maybe. But it's better than just going nonstop with content and not having a personality.
Right. It's better. And we're going to, even if you fail, we're going to be like, it's funny that he failed.
Right. Or thank heavens that person who's standing in front of me is acknowledging that I do not want to sit here and listen to a machine.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I just love that so much. It's so true. The audience does want to know you. They want to feel closer to you, and they want to feel like whatever they're learning in that moment or experiencing in that moment is possible for them. And it becomes possible for them when they see in you the things that are accessible to them.
Well said. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if we're a superhuman, then who cares what we say because they can't do it.
Right.
Like it'd
You
be
know,
like if I'm Superman, I say, well, the first thing you do to lift that car is to go over and pick it up. That's worthless. But if I'm a normal person and say, now we have to move the car, how do we do that? Well, I'm just like you. I can't lift it. Well, then of
right.
course we're a little bit closer.
Yeah. That's such a beautiful thing too. And you're right. It just connects us. And you know what I think about as you were reminding us of that in such a beautiful way? So many speakers and trainers, facilitators think they need to be perfect before they get there. They
Yeah.
put that on themselves. And it's like, actually, no. And I've been guilty of that too.
Yeah. But I think anyone who's been at it for a while we all started that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
The best
it's hard to
time
get
for
over ourselves, right?
just get over ourselves. Yeah. The best time for me always has been when it's just been fun and I'm just being me and something unexpected happens. And those are my favorite times speaking or doing training when it's like there was
Yeah.
no way that was on the plan. And now I get to tell it as a story forever.
Right. And the audience is in awe, really, because even though it might look like Kassy is a little discombobulated or whatever, no, she's holding the audience while crazy things are happening. She's a
Yeah.
star.
Yeah. Like the way that you work through that ends up being what they learn. Like you said, when you heard them in the hallway, they were amazed by the way it was managed.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Brad, where can people continue to learn from you? Where should we follow you and connect with you?
Well, my name is Brad Montgomery. It's bradmontgomery.com. Simple.
Perfect.
Come visit. Come say hi.
I love that. I'm so happy to have met you and to have had you on the show today, and I appreciate all that you've shared. You've almost made it seem like it's simple to be funny.
Well, it is in some ways, especially if we broaden that description or the definition, as I said. If being funny is giving them a little bit of a breath, letting them meet us a little bit, all of us can do that. No matter
Yeah.
where you're sitting, this is something you can do right now.
I love that. Thank you for sharing with us today, Brad.
I'm so glad to meet you. I've been stalking you a little bit, so I'm glad to finally know you.
Excellent. I love that. Well, I'm going to continue to do the same with you. Thank you for being on the show today.
It's an honor. Thanks for having me.
That's your spark. Now go light something up. And hey, if this episode lit you up, share it with a friend, a fellow facilitator, or someone who needs a little more connection in their day. Be sure to follow the Spark Konnect so you don't miss what's next. We've got more brilliant voices, bold ideas, and heart-forward conversations coming your way. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and keep showing up.